Alright, so I don't have a table at home. I'm working with what I have. We're gonna go and start with active single leg raise. This is gonna go and test for SI joint dysfunction and pelvic instability. It's gonna be testing the ilium, pubis, ischium, and sacral. Positive finding would be if there is pain on the opposite side because the leg that's getting tested is unstable, and we're just gonna go and overload to the other leg to go and compensate. So it's gonna go and activate the glutes and the core muscles. So for this one, go ahead and raise your leg up. And then is there any pain with that? Go ahead and relax. I would go ahead and come with my thenar, hypothenar. I would go ahead and compress on the ASIS. Let's go ahead and lift your leg up again. And did your pain get better, worse, or the same? And relax. We would go ahead and go based on the patient's findings. Next one is going to go and be the single leg raise. For this one, this one's going to go and check for lumbar radiculopathy. It's going to go and be testing for nerve root. L5 and S1, a positive finding would go ahead and be if there's diminished range of motion or numbness, tingling, burning, pins and needles, and sharp shooting pains down the leg. So I'm gonna go ahead and come and passively grab the Achilles and lift the patient's leg up, and then I would go ahead and ask, is there any pain with that? And we would go ahead and go based on those findings. The next one's gonna go and be Burgard's side. This is gonna go and check for lumbar radiculopathy. It's gonna be testing nerve roots L5 and S1. Positive finding would go ahead and be paresthesia, numbness, tingling, pins and needles, and sharp shooting pain. So for Burgard's, I'm gonna go ahead and bring the leg up to where it is that they had pain initially, and then I would go ahead and bring the leg down about 5 degrees. I'm gonna go and show it on this side so you can see, and then I would go ahead and passively dorsiflex the foot. So there's the Burgard sign, and I would go ahead and ask the patient if there's any reproduction of symptoms, anything like that. Let me see which one's next. All right, so next one's gonna go and be SI dysfunction. This is gonna go and check for SI joint. SI joint dysfunction is gonna be testing for the anterior SI joint ligament. A positive finding would be if there's any pain on the posterior SI joint. So SI joint distraction, I'm gonna go ahead and cup the ASIS with my thenar, hypothenar, and I'm gonna go and be doing this motion slowly. SI joint dysfunction. And then I will ask the patient if there's any reproduction of pain or how they're feeling, and we're going to go based on those findings. Next one is going to go and be thigh thrust. I'm going to go be standing on the opposite side for this one. It's going to go and check for SI joint dysfunction. It's going to be testing the posterior SI joints. A positive finding would be if there's a reproduction over the joints. So I'm going to go and come to this side because we're testing the opposite side. So if this is the involved side, we're going to come to the opposite side. Go ahead and bend your leg 90 degrees for me. And I'm gonna go ahead and you can go and relax. And then I'm gonna go ahead and bring them towards me. I'm gonna go and cup that sacral. And I'm gonna go and be thrusting 3 times. And this is to go ahead and see if we can go ahead and reproduce the pain. I would go ahead and ask the patient how they're feeling, and if there's any reproduction of pain for them. Next one's gonna go and be the Springs test. So this is gonna go and be testing for lumbar instability. It's gonna be testing for the lumbar spine, the spinous process. If it's positive, it's gonna go ahead and be localized pain specific to the involved segment. Also, if there's too much movement in comparison to the other levels. So go ahead and do me a favor and lay down on your stomach. Very good. All right, and so I would go ahead and come and get the spinous process, and I would go ahead and check. And I would go and do the same thing on the other side and ask the patient if there's any reproduction of pain of any sort, and go from there. The next one's gonna go and be passive lumbar extension. This is gonna go and test for spondylolisthesis. It's gonna be testing the nerve roots and lumbar spine, and positive finding would be if there's reproduction of pain in that lumbar spine. So I'm gonna go ahead and come from behind, and I'm just gonna go ahead and cup the ankles and passively raise them and see if there's any reproduction of pain. I would be communicating with my patient at this point and make sure that they're doing okay and how they feel with the test. The next one's gonna go and be sacral thrust. So they're still gonna go and be laying down on their stomach. It's gonna go and check for SI joint dysfunction. There's gonna be testing for the inanimate and stable and the sacral moving. A positive finding would go ahead and be if there's reproduction, if there's reproduction of pain over the joints. So I'm gonna go and come back here and I'm gonna go and be thrusting on the sacral and checking if there's any reproduction of pain for that. The next one is gonna go to be the slump test. So go ahead and sit up for me for this one. And go ahead and stand up. And I'm gonna have you sitting right here. All right, so for this one, if I was at the clinic, I would go and have the table raised so that way we're not so close to the ground. You're not gonna be able to see me, but I'm gonna go and explain what I'm gonna be doing. For the lumbar, for the slump test, I'm gonna be checking for lumbar radiculopathy. It's gonna be testing for the dura, spinal cord, and nerve roots, and also for positive sciatica pain and reproduction of radiation of pain. I don't think I can go any lower, but I'm gonna go and come right here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and be sitting right next to you. All right, so go ahead and bring your hands behind your back. Very good. And then go ahead and slouch down. Good. Is there any pain with that? And then I would go ahead and come and compress down. Is there any pain with that? And then I would go ahead and come, I'm raising their leg straight. Is there any pain with that? And now we're going to come and dorsiflex their foot forward. Is there any pain with that? And then I would go and ask them to go ahead and look down. Is there any pain with that? And then I would ask them to go ahead and look straight forward. Very good. And then lastly, I would go ahead and ask if their pain got better. All right, you can go ahead and relax. And for the last one, I don't have the table, so I'm just gonna go ahead and verbally say what I would go ahead and do step by step. But for the prone instability, it's gonna go ahead and be checking for prone instability, it's gonna be checking for lumbar instability and core weakness that causes lumbar instability. It's gonna be testing for the lumbar spine and spinous process. A positive finding would be if pain levels decrease when the legs are lifted. So go ahead and stand up for me. And so I would have the patient come up and with their ASISs contact the table. So you're going to stay right there, and then I would go and ask them to go ahead and bend over, hold on to the table, and just go ahead and look in one direction. So go ahead and do that motion. And then I would go ahead and be behind them, and I would go ahead and do a springs test from S1 to all the way to L1. They would obviously be more straight. I would go ahead and ask them, is there any pain? Is there any pain with this? If they were to say there's pain at L4, then I would keep that in mind, keep going. If there's another level that they have pain, I would go ahead and ask them again if there's any pain with that. And then I would ask them to go ahead and raise their feet off the ground by holding onto the bed, and that's gonna go and they're gonna have to activate their core muscles with that. And I would only go back to the levels that they have issues with. So say for example, if this was L4 and L1, I would go back to those levels, do the springs test, and see if the pain got better or worse. If the pain decreases when they lift up their legs, then there's a positive finding, meaning that the patient would benefit from core stability.